I have heard the same said of Bill Clinton, but I can vouch for Trump's charisma. Trump has a thing for magazine covers. Framed covers line the office walls and stacks of magazines with his image on them piled up on his desk. Yes, this was a man who knew a thing or two about earned media. Trump would ride that media, good and bad, as far as it could take him, earning by some estimates as much as $5 billion in free publicity during the election. His advisors told him he could not win on earned media, and he proved them wrong. Media is everything, Andrew Breitbart often reminded me, and Trump would prove him right. At the end of our discussion, Trump shook my hand, encouraged me to keep up the good work, and half whispered, "Do Columbia." He then posed for a photo with me in front of the framed copy of a Playboy magazine from 1990. I had earlier shown him a Playboy from 2011 in which my name was mentioned on the cover, The Dirty Tricks of James O'Keefe. Trump one-upped me, as he told me he was the rare guy whose picture had been on the cover. It was that cover we posed in front of. Trump had Keith Schiller, a tall, tough-looking guy with close-cropped white hair, escort me out. A former NYPD detective and Trump's security director at the time, Schiller would follow Trump to the White House. It was Schiller who got the nod to go to L.A. and fire FBI honcho James Comey. If you met Schiller, you would understand why Trump sent him. He is pure, understated alpha. Picture the character Mike in Breaking Bad. His instruction this time was to take me to the Trump store and give me however many ties I wanted to take away. Ties were apparently the currency of the realm. On leaving Trump Tower with my booty of ties, it never crossed my mind that one day Trump would be president. I did think, however, he could make one hell of an ally. As the events of 2016 proved, Trump and I had something fundamental in common, not so much a shared ideology as a shared adversary. At Project Veritas, we take no real position on issues beyond free speech and honest government. And in 2016, let alone 2013, who even knew what Trump's ideology was? Historian Victor Davis Hanson accurately describes President Trump as, quote, a reflection of, not a catalyst for, the widespread anti-statist, anti-globalist resentment that got him elected. The adversary we shared was a powerful one, what might well be called the deep state media complex. Although the media could not exist without the deep state could not exist without the media. By exposing the waste, fraud, and abuse of the administrative state, we inevitably disrupt the media's relationship with government and organizations that work with government. Like Trump, Project Veritas is a disruptor. If we have an ideology, it is less conservative than anti-statist, anti-status quo. In their 1988 book Manufacturing Consent, Edward Herman and Noam Chomsky anticipated a showdown like this one that played out in the campaign of 2016. By 1988, the dominant mass media outlets were all large, powerful corporations. Although restricted in some ways by their own ideological blinders, the authors made some useful observations, accurately describing the establishment media as effective and powerful ideological institutions that carry out a system-supportive propaganda function by reliance on market forces, internalized assumptions, and self-censorship, and without overt coercion. If Chomsky and Ehrman erred, it was in thinking that the deep state would inevitably skew right. It has not. In the way of evidence, Donald Trump pulled just 4% of the vote in the District of Columbia. In the more affluent neighborhoods, those home to the lobbyists, journalists, contractors, intelligence officers, and high-level bureaucrats who comprise the deep state, Trump fared scarcely better than he had in the poorer ones. In no precinct, not even in the most posh, did he secure more than 15% of the vote. Some say that the real difference between the dominant American media and the old Soviet Pravda is that the Russian people knew they were being lied to. The fact that Pravda is the Russian word for truth fooled almost no one. When Russians heard the word Pravda, they heard power. They had little choice but to go along with the lies, at least publicly, but privately they rejected them, and very privately they joked about them. Pravda was allowed to deceive because no force in the Soviet Union could stop it. The New York Times and its media allies and imitators continued to mislead or deceive their audiences for much the same reason. Up until November 2016, no force could stop them either. In the months since, they have done everything in their power to prove that 2016 was a mistake. Indeed, they openly seek to reverse it, and they may yet succeed. To be sure, there are profound differences between